This is the 4th of December in the year 2023, very close to December 8th, Rohatsu, celebrated on the Japanese Zen Buddhist calendar, often a time of very intense and sincere practice. So thank you all for your practice. And again, this is Mushim Ikeda, she, her, and I'm on the land of the Liēn Ohlone, otherwise known as Oakland, California, in the United States. I had mentioned that the Buddhist name, which was given to me by Samu Sinim, is Mushim. It's Romanized. I Romanized it Mushim because that's actually how I've seen it. There are lots of other Mushims out there, and it was originally Romanized as Musim. However, then everyone would call me Musim, but it is pronounced with an aspirated H, so I just put it in, and that makes more sense. And it is from the Heart Sutra. Mu is the big mu, usually mean no, not, negating, often the mu koan in Zen, and shin is usually translated as heart mind. One word, heart mind. So no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. Mushim. And when I first got that name, when I received that name with the Bodhisattva vows and precepts, I thought, oh, this is not good. This is really bad. Because I instantly thought, this teacher is going to want to work me to death. I'm just like, this is a really high class Zen name. And sure enough, I mean, that was completely true. So what can I say? I'm always, I'm growing into it. And because of this, I don't know, maybe if my Dharma name had been something else, it would still be the same. However, it is Mushim. And so the Heart Sutra, which I've chanted in many different languages, in different, my Buddhist journeys, many temples in the Mahayana traditions, they always get around to chanting the Heart Sutra. And it's so distinctive because whatever language is in, I can hear that repetition. It's like no eyes, no ears, mu, which is mu, moo, 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 or it could be woo, 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 or something else. That it's just really unmistakable. And then of course the ending gata, which is said to be the most supreme gata that is capable of relieving all suffering and pain. Usually that's quite recognizable as well. Gate gate pada samgate bodhisvaha. And going back a little bit in time, first I'll have to say also that my original training in academic life, I do have academic training, however, I'm not good at like academic formal stuff. And I found my home as an undergraduate in the creative writing program in Oberlin College in Ohio. I think I would have dropped out otherwise. I didn't really like literary criticism, and I don't do well with academic kind of thinking. I can kind of sort of fake it. However, there was a creative writing program, and I was so happy. And because I'd been writing poetry and writing ever since I learned how to write, something that stands out for me is, since you're all Zen students, or most of you are, is that my old friend, Robert Aitken Roshi, who is known as the Dean of American Zen, he lived to be 93, I think, and passed several years ago. And he was my friend. He wasn't my teacher. He was my friend. We met because he liked children. And we met when I was a single mother, just totally stressed out and poverty stricken and worn out with an extremely vigorous baby. And he liked to babysit my child, and just, I don't know, kind of fell in love with him. So we became friends. And Aitken Roshi had originally, before he was a late bloomer, before he started practicing Zen, he was a English teacher in a private high school in California. And we could both recite our favorite poems from memory, which was so much fun. So one day I was visiting him on the Big Island of Hawaii, where he had made a retirement complex for himself called Keiryū. And we were chatting along, and he said, in his Roshi way, he said, "Zen is poetry. Poetry is Zen." And I had like one of those little enlightenment, but also stupidity moments where I thought, duh, I just freaking never thought about that. Yeah, that's how I get, that's why I ended up in Zen instead of something else, is because of my love of poetry and my involvement with poetry. All right, so fast forward a little bit then to several years ago. I opened up my email, and there was an email from several of you, I'm noticing are up in the Cascadian region, watershed, around Seattle and going up, I guess, into like in Vancouver, Canada, and then downward. And there was a poet named Shinny Pai, and she was the editor at that time of this planned book of poetry, Zen inspired poetry from the Cascadian watershed, organized by Watershed. And she said, she told me about the project, and she said, "I would like you to submit some poems if you have some. Do you have some?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't actually write that much poetry," but I said, "I actually do. It's a series on the Heart Sutra." And however, I said, "You've made a mistake because I'm in Oakland, and so I'm not in your watershed." And she said, "Yes, you are." And so I said, "Okay." I think she was cheating. However, that's the way poets are. So it took a very long time because of the pandemic, and the link is in the chat. It's finally out from a brand new press that they founded just to start publishing this series. It's called Cascadian Zen Volume 1, and Volume 2 is scheduled to be out next year, October of 2024. So they're already collecting that work. It's quite long. It's beautifully printed, has artwork, and what's really cool is in the back, there's this fold out map of the ecoregions of Cascadia. So it's very, very specific, and then there are some cheats in there, like Albert Sidjo is preceding me on page 45, and he lived on the Big Island of Hawaii, near Aitken Roshi, near Puna, near the volcano. So what the heck? That's the way poets are. This is a series of poems from a projected collection. I would like there to be around 12 poems. We'll see what happens. They aren't all written. And these are the ones that are published in Cascadian Zen, Bioregional Writings on Cascadia, Here and Now, Volume 1. I'm assuming you've all had exposure to the Heart Sutra. And this series is called Heart Sutra Fragments. I was inspired by the fragments of the ancient Greek poetess Sappho, who is so famous as a poet, and actually what's come down to us from her work are just these little fragments, like shards of pottery here and there. And yet, so much is conveyed of that other world and that time that shows up freshly. And so I wanted to internalize my experience, my grapplings with the Heart Sutra, and see what I came up with. Heart Sutra Fragment 1 is dated August 6th through 9th, 2018, and is preceded by a quote from history.com. On August 6, 1945, during World War II, 1939 to 45, an American B-29 bomber dropped the world's first deployed atomic bomb over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The explosion wiped out 90% of the city and immediately killed 80,000 people. Tens of thousands more would later die of radiation exposure. 3 days later, a second B-29 dropped another A-bomb on Nagasaki, killing an estimated 40,000 people. Japan's Emperor Hirohito announced his country's unconditional surrender in World War II in a radio address on August 15th, citing the devastating power of, quote, a new and most cruel bomb, unquote. Heart Sutra, Fragment 1. Before sleep, because form, because in Hiroshima everything, including horses, burned, no color, no sound. Because headlines again read war, cruelty, stupid, torture, waste. I need you, green and joyous river not yet grown old, where sunlight skims surfaces and for a moment lies down, does not stay, because emptiness flows into late summer less quickly now. I need you, deep and cooler pools in your silted bends. I need you, thicketed small birds, the smell of leaves dragged in water, something unnamed, unexpressed. Practicing deeply the wisdom beyond wisdom. Because, although you are no longer form, remind me, with brilliant fragments, clouds, bird wings, slow chords, your voice, your mouth, both, resolution, source, gone beyond and beyond and beyond. Heart Sutra, Fragment 3. This was published in Tricycle Magazine. And it's an elegy for my friend Arthur McGee, who died July 8th, 2018, when I started this series. Art was known as the father of the Black Internet. He was a radical Black activist who just happened to live near me, right around the corner. He was near me in Oakland, and he was in hiding when I met him. He was managing or was a worker in a DVD rental store. I dug him up. So he died at the age of 51. The red thread, the damaged heart. No suffering, no cause, no cessation, no path. This morning, I must love the uncontrollable 10,000 things. Red tea in a glass, adamant ravens, their cries outside, the stain of blue fruit from a half-eaten pie, piles of unread books, the couch where you sat, when I took the blurred photo Thanksgivings ago, used this year for your funeral. No smell, no sound, no taste, no touch, no old age and death, and also no extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering. I'm always angry, you said. No cessation, no path. You died alone of natural causes. At 51, were found on your littered floor, the body livid, ashy. A proud black man, your friends said. But did we somehow fail you? Makani asked me. Can anything now be saved? From the fire, the sea levels rising. Heart Sutra, fragment 5. Gate, gate, pada samgate. Small and large vessels navigate. Mountains and rivers, creeks, spillways, marshes, sloughs, trickle downs and white waters. Gravity is impersonal. We all return to ground. But tonight, I think rebirth is simply this. From these small vessels, our bodies, we naturally overturn and spill out into vastness and return. Unsui, that's a Japanese term, which literally means, so unsui, lit, cloud, water. 10 years ago, when the injection instantly stopped our sick cat's heart, she was ready, crying in pain the night before, and I wrote my child of this small death. She has returned, fully trusting to the source. Heart Sutra, fragment 7. Begins with an epigraph, a translation into English of a phrase from the poem The Prisoner's Dream by one of my favorite poets, the great poet Eugenio Montale, who said, "My dream of you is not yet over." And it contains my remembrance of the final verse translated into English of the famous Diamond Sutra, which is part of the Prajnaparamita original text, which the Heart Sutra is also related to. It's all Prajnaparamita. My dream of you is not yet over. Montale, the prisoner's dream. All dharmas are marked with boundlessness, do not appear or disappear, do not increase nor decrease. At the funeral in the jazz nightclub in Oakland for a civil rights attorney, I recited the Diamond Sutra's last verse. Tonight from memory I hear, like a flash of lightning in a summer storm, foam on a wave, a dewdrop or a dream, so should we look on all conditioned things. It says we should, but I am as yet unable. So today, in the lines on the ground that is always burning, this prayer: Creator of my life, grant me freedom from greed. Give me eyes to see the radiant mountain, the compassionate sea, have not been dreamed by me alone. And the last poem in this set is it's kind of like a coda or ending, a place to rest in a certain way, titled Unpredictably, a Thank You Note. And comes from a trip to one of my favorite places, the Point Reyes National Seashore, Kehoe Beach. Unpredictably, a thank you note. Unpredictably, it was brilliantly sunny, though I'd packed for winter rain and mud on the trail. Through wild mustard and lacy masses of green hemlock, with their purplish scooped stalks opening to the crisply churning long line of surf, and quieter, closer in, the edge of her body, the sea. And how was it possible, from what little we'd packed in, before we spread my father, my mother's ashes in the sea, that you made the smallest of fires and tea, tasting like tree resin, warm soil, another country's rain, then 13 years of patience, definable, the long and faithful wait, but not its grace. Thank you so much. You're the first people to hear these poems read.
OMB, Mushim. Oh my goodness. Gosh. Will you ring a bell for us? I feel like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's invite the bell of mindfulness. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. Namu kie butsu, namu kie ho, namu kie so. We take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha.